All right, what's happening, you lot, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Link podcast. Now, in our first episode, we talked about love and relationships. And quick announcement before we get started with today's topic. So in that first episode, we used pseudonyms, so like alternative names or stage names, whatever. But we decided, going forward, we should just use our actual names because it'll be easier for us. So with that said, my name is Simeon, and today we have our co-hosts, of course, Divyesh and Quincy. What's going on, guys?
Hey guys,
Hey,
how's it
I'm
going?
Quincy. Nice to be here and very excited to talk about this topic today. So, just a couple of things I want to mention before we start the podcast. So, we will be uploading this on YouTube and also Podbean, and we also have this on social media. So, make sure follow our Instagram. It's Innerlink Podcast, and make sure you subscribe, like, comment our YouTube videos as well.
So today's topic is about what is the best version of ourselves, and we're going to go through a lot of things in depth about being ourselves, self-development, um, career, relationships, all sorts of things to like develop ourselves. And well, the first question is for you guys, and for the audience as well. You can comment down below. Is what does your best self look like, and how do you strive to embody that version of yourself?
Ooh, that's such a good question. So let me just answer it first. I feel like for me, the best version, like becoming the best version of myself, is to love myself completely without, like letting all these inner critics to, fulfill my thoughts and like sabotage my day to day routines. So, yeah, how about you, Simeon?
Well, the best way to describe it is becoming the best version is realizing your flaws, realizing your inner traumas, because no matter where you are in life or the experiences that you've had, everyone has some sort of inner demons that they haven't tackled because they're too scared to, or they don't want to relive those moments. So becoming the best version of yourself is going within, finding those inner demons and tackling them day by day. Obviously it's going to take a while to get to that point, but the key to success in that regard is simply sticking to it no matter what. That's what I think it is.
All right, some great answers. Looking forward to your guys' answers as well in the comment down below.
How about your best version of yourself?
For me, I feel like it's having the big goals in life. That'll make a massive impact. I say the small goals, which I'm still in a learning process as well, of learning about how it does affect over time. It accumulates of heading towards, the main goal that you want to achieve, which is the best version of myself. So, example for the minor goals is like maybe cleaning the room once a week, or maintaining myself, having a shower like every single day, that sort of thing. And even though it didn't seem a massive thing, over time it will actually make a big difference in your life. And that's why I feel like the small changes can make a significant change in your life. Do you guys agree with that? Or
Yeah, I guess like baby steps is something that, everyone should do. Like, little steps, and then you can achieve the big steps.
to us, like, there's actually one interesting book which I haven't read yet, because I'll be reading. It's called James Clear. You heard of him? Like the author, James Clear, Atomic.
Atomic Habits. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I started reading that book like a month ago. I'm still like reading it at the moment. It's quite good. Yeah, it's like teach you how to do, like, to kind of like restructure how you do your, day-to-day routines, like basically like, building a good habit.
Okay, and how exactly would you say that you was able to, if you was to put some of those techniques into play, how would the best way to implement that into your daily life be?
Okay, so is it like from the book, right? So like one of the things is to always show up for yourself. Like if you say like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 6 o'clock, and after that I'm going to run, like jog around in the morning, and after that I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee, and after that I'm going to go to the gym, stuff like that. Like you have to start little, but like you have to start. You have to like show up for yourself. If you can like show up for other people when you make promise, oh yeah, let's meet at 2 p.m. At this cafe, and you always do it. But like when you say it to yourself, like, okay, I want to wake up early, I want to do this, I want to do that, you ended up not doing it. So yeah, that's one thing. And another thing is like,
The massive keyword is discipline, right?
yeah, totally, yeah, discipline.
Yeah.
So okay, so basically setting yourself up with small goals to start off with, to kind of get you in that routine is how thing. Okay, so then that's probably a great place to start, because a lot of people can't even do that. A lot of people, they find it extremely hard to stay disciplined, because a lot of the times people end up procrastinating and everything like that. And how would you say would be a great way to tackle that mindset of the procrastination? Because let's just be real, we all fall into that at some point in our lives.
Let me give you a best example, right? Dieting. So many people, even me included as well, like have a hard time dieting, right? When we diet, we go from one extreme to another. We do, and we don't see anything between that. We just want to get to results so fast to achieve the best version of ourselves by losing so much weight. But really, we have to see how much calorie counts, how much we're eating, the portions, going to the gym, not every day, but these 3-4 times a week, or doing other activities just to move your body around. And sometimes we kind of forget that. And plus, people just go pure healthy afterwards, eating all these vegetables and that's it, and one piece of chicken.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I've done that.
I've done that as well, and it didn't work.
Yeah, so going from one extreme to the other is the other kind of, because you got to understand this as well. When people do that, go one extreme to the other, a lot of times, especially with the whole dieting situation, that's not exactly the better solution. That's just basic. I kind of see that as two sides of the same coin. Rather than eating a lot of shit, you're basically eating a lot of vegetables, and which is probably, obviously, it's a lot better than eating a lot of junk food and whatever, but it doesn't help you in the long run, because that's a lot of reasons why people fail diets, because they think that they all have to do is just cut everything and start eating salads and stuff, and then they give up after a while because they're not actually making foods that they actually like, that's actually healthy.
Yeah,
totally.
Because what builds up is the guilt. Is they feel like they're going through a torturous training right now, and they're putting themselves through that. It's okay to, the word that we're looking for is balance. We want a balanced diet, and people forget it's not just a balanced dish, it's also a balanced lifestyle that you need to add in to your lifestyle.
Yeah, that's right. I guess when you do it little by little, you also building trust with yourself, because when you do big goal, just completely 180 degrees, you just like you said, you feel guilty, and you just oh my god, what is this? I couldn't do this. I'm not capable of doing this. Look at this. I betray myself again, stuff like that. I think it's important to start little and build trust with yourself. So you kind of oh, see, I can wake up at 6 actually. I'm capable of doing that.
Positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the examples, which I think is actually a very popular example that everyone is using, right, in their lifestyle, dieting, because we all look fit or good, eat healthy, live a long time. We want all that.
Okay, so fitness is one. So what about mental health? Because here's the issue that
but fitness is related to like mental health as well.
It is related, but in terms of when I'm saying about mental health, I'm talking about the deeper issues, that the deep rooted issues that's held in trauma. Whether it's people who grew up in toxic environments or that sort of stuff that people keep inside themselves from when they're children to when they're grown up, and they think, oh, because I'm older, I just kind of put it to the back burner, but it always comes out, and so many people just don't deal with those. So how do we, because I think that is one of the biggest keys to becoming the best version of ourselves, because once we're able to get rid of that past, as a byproduct, the confidence comes in. So what do you guys think about that?
That's so true. Like, I was gonna talk about this actually. Like, I feel like the first thing, if you wanna change your whole belief and like change your life and like heal yourself from all this trauma and like the things that you gone through in the past, I think the first big thing what you have to do is acceptance. You have to accept the fact that, oh, okay, I'm going through this in the past, like that person or like my parents did this to me and stuff. Like, let yourself feel all the feelings that you're supposed to feel, don't feel even guilty about it, and then after that, after accepting everything, then you can start, okay, from here where I need to go.
Yeah, but the most important thing is that, more than anything, we can talk all day about this stuff, but the very first step to becoming better is acknowledging the situations and acknowledging the problems and actually wanting to make the change. That is the most important thing. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, I mean, in the process of accepting, you kind of like wanting something to change, right? I feel like you wouldn't accept everything that happened to you, all these things, the reality at the moment, you wouldn't accept that unless you want to change. Like, a lot of people, they even deny it. They don't accept the fact that, oh, I need to grow. I need to let go of these things that holding me back. Yeah.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at the amount of people that are too afraid to even make that change, because, as I mentioned, it's so hard to relive the trauma that they rather stay away from it. I mean, I have this theory, and I will always say it, is that there are just some people in this world, or a lot of people in this world, that they are so comfortable in their comfort zone that even if they have so much trauma, they're very depressed, they have anxiety, they don't like how their life is, and rather than changing it, they'd rather stay in that lifestyle because that's what's familiar. Familiarity is
comfort.
Yeah, comfort. That's probably the worst thing that human beings have in their lives, because it kind of hinders them from changing a lot of the time, and it really takes dedication to break out of that.
You know why? It's because the pain receptors that we have, we don't want to. Basically, the receptors don't want us to like go through that trauma again, or like you said, like being in the comfort zone, right? We feel safe, being that zone, and if we get better, we're like, oh no, it's like it could be dangerous. It could be like it's completely new, undiscovered. I don't think we should like do this at all. That's what your pain receptors are saying to yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good indicator then when you feel like you live in a comfort zone? It's a good indicator that you're not growing?
100%. Because if you're in your comfort zone all the time, how do you grow? How do you grow as a person if you're in the same place? It doesn't make sense. You can't improve and stay in the same place. Though there's no correlation there.
I see. So beware of the comfort zone, guys.
Yeah. No matter what, you have to get out of the comfort zone. I know it's probably the hardest thing. Any listener watching this that is struggling right now, I understand that probably getting out of your comfort zone is the hardest thing. But if you want things to change in your life, it's not going to magically happen. You have to take the action. 100%. Pretty sure everybody in this panel right now agrees.
Yeah, but it's easier said than it's done, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, but you know, there's no reward or satisfaction to things that come easy.
Yeah, I know it's hard. It's not easy at all, but it's necessary. I feel like.
But there's people out there who just suffer like from severe depression, who's bipolar, who has like anxiety issues, right? It's difficult for them because it's a mental condition, right, that they're going through in their daily struggles to overcome that. And so they go to the doctors, take medications, and they don't get better in the long run. It helps them in the short run, but not in the long run. And people are okay with that. Taking those medications, it's fine. Like the antidepressants, it helps them all high and wavy and stuff. And that's like another way of being in a comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So what the doctors don't tell you is they don't tell you oh, you need to be better, within yourself. You need to look within. Most of them just hand out medications so you can stay in that same place, but they can't. They feel like human mind are very fragile and they're unable to deal with this process of getting better.
Yeah. But then, going back to what you said before about the, people who have severe depression or major anxiety and stuff, wouldn't you say that's an excuse though? Because at the end of the day, all right, yeah, fair enough. They might be going through things. They might, everyone's circumstances
varies. It varies, on every individual, right?
Yeah, but how long are you gonna let that hinder you from getting where you need to be?
Yeah, I mean,
so many people use it as an excuse.
Yeah, use it as an excuse. Like I said, it depends on what sort of past they had and what they're trying to overcome, because it could be some fucked up shit we don't know, right? Probably something way worse on what that's beyond our imagination and what they're going through. And they probably they haven't told anyone else. They probably this for depression, for people who's depressed, right? Most of the time they hold it in. They don't want to express themselves. They don't want to talk about it because they're too scared to, or they don't feel like to, or it doesn't want to. They feel like it won't work out, talking to anyone about this. So they have to fight this alone. So it's easy enough to say oh, it's excuses, it's this and that, but it's hard to overcome the obstacles in their life, the trauma they had in the past.
It is hard to overcome them, but just going back to what I said earlier, reward doesn't come to things that are easy.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't. People who aren't respected for what's easy. You have to go through hardships to get to where you want, because we can say all day that obviously there's some people in this world that have gone through way more worse things than I've ever experienced, and I 100% agree that I will never understand what they're going through. But at the same time, I can make the argument that they don't understand what I went through, or what you went through, or what Quincy went through.
But do you know, in this world, right, there's more than 264 million people suffers from depression.
wow, that's a lot.
264 million, yeah?
Well,
That's a lot.
yeah, that's a lot.
And 1 in 4 people also experience it. 1 in 4.
It's high. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially after the pandemic as well. It must have increased even more. It's 1 in 2 people, probably.
Well, yeah, during pandemic, I still remember that was so depressive. During those time, I think I developed kind of major anxiety as well during those times. When you just couldn't take everything in and you just cry for every single little stuff. So yeah, I get what you mean, but I feel like there's always a way if you wanna make yourself better, just little by little, and maybe just I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people going through a lot of like hard times probably in the past, and something that's so hard to let go. But I think I just want to share this because I was able to kind of like start this like healing journey, because I kind of like realized that the past doesn't define me. What happened in the past is just there for me to be who I am now.
It's to experience it, right? To
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes, so you won't do it again.
Okay, and yeah, okay, I'm so glad you actually said that, because your example just proved my point. Going through hardships is what allows you to grow. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have got to the place that you are right now.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I have to say all of us pretty experienced it, right? Like before COVID and after COVID. After COVID was way worse, obviously, for all of us. But before COVID as well, we were just going through our daily struggles, of finding, that common question, what is our purpose, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys say about that? I'm sure you guys all question your life, like, what is your purpose in this life?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone at some point in their life, and I guess that's a lot of reasons why a lot of people have existential crises, because they think about it so much and they don't know. But what if the real reason behind why so many people struggle to find their purpose is because they are too scared to deal with their traumas, their depressions, their anxieties?
Yeah.
Because what if their purpose hides behind all of that?
Yeah, that's right. I feel like that's why it's really important as well to always improving yourself, because you will never be the best version of yourself, and you will never reach your maximum potential if you don't deal with all these baggages. You have to deal with all this, like, things that you need to deal with, because if you don't, then what if you might be able to be something great, someone great, but you don't, because all you do every day is just cry and feel bad about yourself. He's talking about that as well. I want to mention like how you also mentioned this before, Divyesh, like how a lot of people, they don't express themselves, but I guess it's totally fine. In this journey of improving yourself, it will never be like an upward line. It will always be like an up and down. There will be days where you feel like, you feel like go back to zero again and stuff like that. But I guess, in those days, during those days, you just have to be kind to yourself and know that you always improve. You're trying to improve at least, and let those feelings out. If you feel sad, then be sad, and after 30 minutes, that's it. Enough sadness. And then, yeah, if you feel angry, then be angry. I'm actually guilty for this as well, because I'm always like holding myself accountable for that. Like, oh, I shouldn't cry. I shouldn't feel sad. I should be
Yeah, because you
happy
feel
all
bad,
the
right?
time.
You feel
Yeah.
guilty,
Yeah,
like feeling those kind of emotions.
Yeah, it's toxic positivity.
But then no, but okay, it's fine to accept the fact that you're feeling bad, or you want to cry about it, but it's only for a certain time period. I think
Yeah.
that it's the most important thing. As long as you, because obviously we're all human beings, we all experience different emotions. We can't always be happy. That's impossible. But the problem that a lot of people have nowadays is the fact that they, instead of acknowledging that they're in that place and let it ride for a short period of time, instead they just get lost in it.
Yeah.
And it consumes them. And rather than being sad for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it's 2 weeks,
Yeah.
a month, 5 months.
Yeah, because
then-
you hold it in. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they wonder to themselves why they're feeling this way. That's the craziest part.
Well, I always say, right, it's like, if you put it this way, it's like having a box, right? If you have a box and you keep putting your thoughts in this box, your negative emotions, your positive, like everything, all your thoughts, eventually that box will be filled up, right? And then you try to lock it, and you try to like put it into a small hole, like a money box, right? And once that fills up and the lock can't take it anymore, it will eventually like leak out. And when it leaks out, this is where your emotions start to like scatter everywhere. Like you become like ape shit. Like, oh my god, like why is this happening to me? You start having breakdowns and everything because you're holding everything in. You didn't like slowly let it out. And that's going back to what I was saying earlier, is taking those small steps is also taking those emotion that you have slowly as well, because you don't want one day to like explode, like within yourself, like doing something stupid like cutting yourself or exploding on someone else or punching some random person in the street. You don't want to do that. And that's what I think. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I guess always allow yourself to feel your own emotions. I guess one of the things as well, right? Why sometimes you feel a certain way. Well, it could be because of like, life situations, like, life occurrence. But most of the time, I feel like we feel bad about our situations, or we feel sad, or we feel angry, is because we let our inner critic so loud. Like I feel like sometimes we just have to go deep in our thoughts and like filter things out. Is it really necessary to think this way? Always think what you're thinking. I think it's important to have the filter all the time. If it's not if it's not the kind of thoughts that will make you feel great about yourself, then quickly just okay, that's it. That's not for me. That's not my thoughts. That's not important. Yeah, like all those thoughts where you doubt yourself and you just like maybe still blaming yourself for whatever happened in the past. That's not important. You don't live in the past. You just have to learn from the past.
100%.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think so while you guys were talking, I was just taking down some notes, because I think rather than just talking about and going through theories and how to things, I think I have a step-by-step guide as well on how there are some ways that you guys can become better. And I think for the first part, because we kind of touched on it earlier, about once it's self-reflection and everything like that, but I think the very first thing, as we mentioned, is more than anything, first thing, accept the fact that you want to change and actually make that change. But taking action is the number one thing. I can't stress that enough. If you are experiencing any anxiety or depression or whatever it is, seek counseling. Not therapy, where you're just talking to someone about your problems. Seek counseling, where not only you talk about your issues or what's going on with you, but they also find solutions as well. And you can actually come up with different ideas and techniques and all that kind of stuff. And also find a therapist that specializes in the thing that you're suffering from. So if it's anxiety, get one that specializes in that. If it's loneliness, get one that specializes in that. If it's any kind of disability like autism, ADHD, whatever, do get something that does that specializes in that kind of thing. How do you guys feel about counseling and therapy and stuff? Is that something that you would ever consider?
Yeah.
Well, I went to counseling, to a therapist once when I was a kid, because I was going through a lot of things in my life. I wasn't like too sure to tell my story, but I'm gonna say anyway. But
you don't have to.
Huh?
You don't have to.
No, I say a bit of it. The audience want to know me, a bit better. Want to relate to probably what I went through as well. There's probably someone out there who can also relate to what I'm talking about, and it might help them in the long run. That's why we're talking about this stuff in this episode, right? To help people. Yeah. So when I was quite young, my mom took me to therapy. When I was quite young, we were going through a lot of things: severe depression, You know, I guess I'm on bipolar. You know, back then, I didn't understand these emotions. What going through. I don't know why I was 1 minute depressed, 1 minute like happy. Another minute like some other emotions like just wanna freaking run off and run outside naked. Well, which I didn't do that, by the way. I didn't run out naked. I'm just joking.
I was gonna say, what kind of weird
hey, I'm not that crazy. I was going through a lot of things, but I wasn't that crazy. Okay, that's not the reason why I went to therapy. My mom took me to like therapy, and I was really skeptic. I thought like, oh, just gonna need some medication and get on with the days. But really, it actually did help. I was there for like 6 months. That's how bad I was.
How old were you?
I was, I think, probably 13, 14, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my point is, therapy does help. Counseling does help. For long term, but also you can't, once you leave the therapy, doesn't mean like it's done. It's finished now. You've done what you need to do. You need to implement that into your life.
Exactly.
You can't just like it's not like a job, a 9-to-5 job. Like, oh yeah, I'm looking for the weekend. I'm gonna relax and that's it. That's not how it is. This is your life. No one's gonna change it. No one's gonna do anything except you. So you have to do what we can to become the best version of yourself. No one else is gonna tell you this. Well, people will tell you this, but you have to put it in action. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you guys agree to this as well, right?
Yeah,
100%.
totally.
Yeah.
Quincy, what do you got to say about that?
Well, I've never been to any therapies or counseling before. I think because all this mental health is very new to me, coming from, a Asian background. Like in my family, we don't believe this even exists. So, yeah. But I guess what I do instead of like going therapy, and counseling, I just like read a lot of books. Like I love reading books, all these self-development books. It helps. Yeah, and just like you said, Simeon, you have to put it in action, not just reading it or like, absorbing information.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not. When I do talk about like seeking counseling, I'm not saying that every single person who struggles needs to seek counseling. Yeah. When I speak about that, I speak about the people who are so lost in their own demons that they don't know what to do with their lives. Yeah, they're just so lost in their own emotions and trauma and everything. They just don't know what to do. I'm just specifically talking about that. Obviously, reading books is another alternative. Self-help books, is a great alternative. But you did say something very interesting there. You coming from an Asian background, that not many people or people don't really think that mental health is a real thing. Would you say that contributed to a lot of issues that you dealt with?
Probably. I can't say this for every Asian person, right?
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about specifically.
Yeah. Well, with me, I guess yes, because whenever I feel a certain way, it's like, oh, why are you so weak? Like my family, especially, they're quite orthodox in a way, so it's kind of like, when I was little, I went through all this, this hard life and everything, and I was fine.
That's like in every Asian family.
Yeah, and I was fine, and look at you, you do this and you complain. Yeah. It's
like when you're like, when you're ill or something, and like, your parents like, oh, like, you're ill? You have a flu? I was like, laying in bed, almost dying, and I went to school still. What are you doing? What are you doing, mate? Get your ass up.
Yeah, and how much of the bit a lot of those stories was bullshit as well. They didn't actually.
They're probably over exaggerating.
100%.
Hey, that's another That's another topic about about the older generations.
Generational trauma. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh yeah, that's another topic we can talk about in the next video.
But yeah, I just find that very interesting about the people who pretend like mental health isn't the real thing, because I think they're the ones who struggle from it the most. if you think about it, because they are so unaware of the thing that they're talking about. They don't want to mention it, because I guess the reason why I brought it up, because I come from a Caribbean background, and I was talking to some of my aunties and stuff, and apparently from like my grandparents' generation, they didn't consider it a real thing either, and they have gone through a lot of depression and anxiety and stuff, but they just saw it as, oh no, they saw it as a disease more than anything else. That's why I found that very interesting that you brought it up as well, because it's clear it's in many different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds. It's not just one.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, like growing up, I remember I used to cry a lot, and like everyone in the family, they just called me a crybaby.
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah, I used to cry a lot. You guys know how emotional and sensitive I am. Sometimes I watch a movie that's a little bit crying scene, and I cry like the whole freaking movie. So yeah. But then like my old man, my father, is just like oh, stop being stop being a baby, stop being like a woman or something. I'm like, a man can
Oh yeah.
a man can cry.
Men can cry, of course, and it's healthy to cry actually.
To an extent, yeah, to an extent.
Well, obviously, we won't get too deep into this, like the masculine, feminine energy as well. That's another topic that we will talk about in more depth. But men over the years, they've been thinking like, oh, we can't express ourselves in certain ways where women can, and they're the advantage where men like it's about strength, be strong, don't be weak-minded. And over the years, this is why men like die way faster than women does, because they probably keep it in for many years, and the stress will get to them, and then other like health conditions start to like develop, like cancer or something. I'm just thinking about the extreme.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, it does come down to, I think, just it goes back to what you said though before about balance, like, because obviously on the other side, I mean, not just men, women as well, like if they're just crying all the time, like, and what gets done if you're just crying about your problems? It just goes back to what we originally talked about, which is just you're always just crying about your issues and nothing actually gets done. So that's why there has to be a balance. Obviously, going back to what Quincy said, letting your, being with your emotions and feelings for a time, but then afterwards, let that go and, take action. Yeah. Which, if I'm honest, kind of perfectly segues into my next point, which is next step, which is self-reflection. So if you go counseling, or if you read books, or you find out information, or wherever happens next, it is very important that you go within and reflect on whatever you've dealt with. If you're on the progress to dealing with your issues, dealing with your trauma, it's always good to self-reflect, because you will always find things that you never thought would have been an issue with you, or you never thought that certain triggers may have come around that now finally see. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about the self-reflection in general? Do you guys do it a lot, or do you think you can do it more? What's the status on that?
So one of the key point, if you want to do self-reflection, I like the first thing first that you have to do is honest. Be honest, totally honest, because sometimes, right, it's hard to analyze yourself and like introspect yourself, because it's you analyzing yourself, and there's so many bias in that. Unless you being honest with yourself and truly like, is this really triggers you, is this something that you need to work on and stuff like that. If you're not honest, then it can be just, oh yeah, I'm good, there's nothing for me to improve.
There's a thought that just came to me, right? One of the best person who can give advice is actually your inner child. Ooh. If you actually look deep within, right, we kids, we start off like pure, right? The purity, the innocent level is like 100% or almost 100%, right? And when we grow up, we're like exposed to all these environments, all these adults, and all this, things around us. But when we were, little kids, I think we know more about ourselves then than now because we become more confused, and that's why I feel like that's why it just came to me as well just now. Having that thought, like our best person that you talk to is our inner self, which is true because when we get older, we kind of forget who we really are, and our kid self knows truly who we want to become.
Yeah, it's true. That's why when you're little, right, you dream big. Oh, I want to be a singer. I want to be an athlete. I want to be an astronaut, But like when you grow up, like you kind of like exposed to many limitation. Like, oh, this reality is like this. It's not possible. All this programming that you get, or just like doubt from people around you, and you start to kind of like rethink again whether is it really possible. But yeah, I totally
Yes,
understand. Yeah.
it's mainly the adults who kind of embed that mindset into us, saying like, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't achieve a dream. Oh, it's too unrealistic. I had this many times in my life, and that's why I like doubted myself. I was, I was like I wasn't good enough.
So shall I tell you another thing as well? What kind of brings onto that? So just like both of you guys were saying, 100% correct. But like I'll definitely say this one thing as well, because one of the reasons why I say self-reflection is important and the whole inner child, because not only do adults tell you what you can and can't do, they also bash you or belittle you for the things that you're interested in. And I can't tell you. I'll just tell you a little bit of story from why self-reflection is important to me now. Is that I can't tell you the amount of times that I'm someone who likes anime. I'm someone who likes video games. I'm someone who likes things that are unusual, like someone who likes Sonic the Hedgehog as a 29-year-old. For so many years I used to get conflicted by that because people used to tell me that it's childish to like that. It's childish. It's weird to like video game music or just whether I'm interested in, and because of that, I always used to think that because of whatever other people were saying that I shouldn't like these things because other people were saying things, and so in turn I started caring a lot about what other people thought about my interests and my hobbies, and it's only after going counseling, doing the self-reflection, I started to realize that it's not an issue to like the things that I like just because other people don't like it. And obviously it took me a long time to finally get out of that, but there's a lot of repetition. There's a lot of times where I really had to keep on repeating myself that it's okay to like Sonic music or video game music and stuff like that, because even though it's unusual, it's what I like, it's what I find enjoyment in. And when I really started to, the more times I started to do that, the more times I started to repeat it, it became something that I believed within myself. And as a byproduct of that, I started becoming more confident in myself, and I started to care less about what other people thought about my interests or about what I like, because I know that I like it. It doesn't matter what other people say. I like it, and that's all that matters. And I have started applying that to other aspects in my life, and that's goes back to the inner child as well, because obviously the inner child knows what you want or what you like and stuff, and obviously all the other shit that gets the outside influences kind of it really messes up your perception on things sometimes. So it really does help to remember your inner child, because remember that it's a part of you.
Yeah. That's why, like, going through this self improvement journey is really important, because I feel like the more you do it, the less you need people's validation. Imagine living your life constantly with, people have to validating yourself, what you like and what you don't like. It has to be, you know, according to society standard. If it's not normal, then it's not okay. So yeah, I guess that's another good reward. If you improve yourself, then you just live life happily because you don't need other people's validation. You just need to validate yourself. Okay, sure, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is how I am. You know, you don't need to live for other people. You live for yourself. And like, if you get to that point, it's really, really peaceful actually to live in that way.
Well, as you can tell, um, being the best version of yourself is not as simple as it is, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
And we're still learning as well.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. Of course, I feel like it's an
Oh yeah.
unending journey, right?
Yeah,
like
we're,
it's a
we're
journey.
mastered it enough. Like,
Yeah.
I was talking about this. We're still in the learning process of even talking about like learning about each of our stories, and also learning from you guys. You guys' stories. You'll probably know better than us. You probably can give us like advice about what you guys went through, and which can help us in our life.
Feel free to share your story. Like reach out to us if you need, like, someone to talk to, if you relate to our stories, or you just wanna agree or disagree in the comment section.
I'm sure like there's one question like the audience probably want to know is what triggered it, what inspired you guys to start like becoming the best version or developing this new self.
Well, long story short is, I'll say about, it was what now, 4 years ago almost. Like there was in 2019 was probably one of the worst years for me, because that's when my mental health really just plummeted. I mean, like totally nosedive.
Oh, so it's just before COVID.
Yeah, just before COVID, like around like November of 2019. No, sorry. The beginning of 2019 was the start. November was the massive, like, just nosedive at that point. And it took that point where, and I also affected others around me as well. And something just, clicked to me after spending 2 whole grueling, excruciating weeks of being in that shitty place. And I was like, enough's enough. I got to do something. But obviously, I didn't think of that by myself. I had outside influence, people around me, encouraging me and stuff. But after I started to realize in myself that there's something wrong here, I need to fix it. It just went up from there.
Well, one of the cool things as well, like you mentioned before about getting help is, counseling is, what was you say?
Counseling, self-reflection, going within, finding, kind of accepting things about yourself that you probably hated about yourself before, that sort of stuff.
And that last one that you mentioned is the support system, meaning not just doing a solo thing, right? It's also talking to your family and friends about this, and that can actually help as well. Just to put that there as well. You don't need to do everything solo. By the way, you can ask for help. It's okay.
Yeah. But what about you, Quincy? What was the trigger for you?
Well, funny enough, it was also like started around that time because yeah. So let's just say that was the time when I just graduated from uni. And at that time, because so many things going on, like family, economically as well, like a lot of things, to the point where I feel like I hit the rock bottom. And maybe sometimes it takes you your it no, it's the word that doesn't come out. Wait, so, well, sometimes it takes you the whole thing you have to be lost. It's like, sometimes you have to lose everything you have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you like go through.
Oh, you mean sometimes you need to lose everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
So sometimes you have to lose everything to realize things that you need to do, So at that point, I felt like, oh yeah, I lost everything and I hit rock bottom, and I was just crying every single day, couldn't sleep until like 4 a.m. because my mind was just so buzzing, like busy with all this like unnecessary thoughts, you know. Yeah, and at one point in my life, I feel like I need to stop crying because I was so tired to the point that I couldn't even function anymore. I wake up in the morning, I would cry. I want to go to sleep, I would cry. Like, you just tired of it. Yeah. How about you?
Me, I think my triggered moment is probably during COVID time. Is, I'm sure like all of you guys like can relate to this as well. Who is listening to this is like, so I lost my mom during COVID, and I didn't realize like how much it would actually hit me. Mom passing away, because my mom was like the glue of the family. She was the one that helped everyone, listen to everyone's like problems. If anyone had like any problems they need to do, they go to her. She was just basically like the shield of our family. And after she's gone, it kind of scattered. It kind of like just, no one know what to do afterwards. So I kind of like had to step in to kind of like fill my mom's role. Obviously I can't be like my mom, right? No one can be like someone else, right? But I kind of like fill in into that role. And it was actually fucking hard. But even though it was hard, there was something within me triggered that moment. It's like, holy shit, I never fucking had to do this. I always doubt myself, my ability, be able to be in the spotlight and take that leadership role. And I never fucking actually do that. And that was like a transitioning moment for me, because my whole family was all, obviously makes sense when someone passes away. Is everyone's all everywhere right now? They're not thinking straight. They're all emotions everywhere. So I'd be the one to be chill, make sure the funeral's done right, and just basically everything's in place like my mom would do. And that made me who I am today, of becoming that best version of myself, which I never I actually never thought of me being where I am right now. I would never thought of this. So that can actually come as well. Not you just thinking about it. Life can be unpredictable sometimes. Right? Well, it can just go boom like that. Flash your eyes. So the best skill to have is to adapt. If you adapt in any situation, life would be so much easier for you. It's because we like to control things. And it's not about control. It's all about adapting. Another way I can put it is, imagine this. If you're in the ocean and when the wave comes at you, what do you do? Do you confront the wave and let it hit you, or do you flow with the wave? Obviously, the answer will be flowing with the wave. And my principle is always saying go with the flow. That's always my thing. Since I was 12 years old, I said to my friends, and all my friends are taking the piss at me. Yeah, If you guys are listening, yeah, you guys took the piss at me. I know. But yeah, hey, I still stick by to it as well. Go with the flow, even though it's hard.
I see. Yeah, like there's this quote that says, is it relates to what we're talking about? It's like you decide whether your pain is going to make you bitter or better. So I feel like everyone, majority of people in this world will have to go through like some kind of like the lowest point in their life, and yeah, you just have to do it. I guess, it just happens so you can grow, right? But you decide whether this is going to make you bitter or better. If you can like learn from it, understand why it's happening.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah.
Because around that time, I could have gone a completely different way. I could have like be stuck in the corner and just be scared of life and not coming out from my comfort zone, like we were saying earlier, right? Staying in the comfort zone. I could have done that very easily. It would have been so safe. But I know I had other responsibilities, that I need to do, because it's not only my life. There's other people like who's also like dependent on me as well.
Everything that you just said, Divyesh, it just perfectly goes into my next and final point, which is do different things. It just goes back to what we said earlier about taking action. Once you've done the therapy, you've done the self-reflection, take action and do things differently. Get out of your comfort zone. That is the only way that you're gonna make change in your life. Have some new goals. If you don't have any goals, make some. Get some new hobbies, meet new people, do whatever. You just do something that's different from what you're used to, because familiarity is the worst thing you can do. You can't control what's thrown at you, but you can control how you react to it. That is something that has stuck with me from the minute I heard that saying, and it has made all the difference. You guys who are listening, who are stuck, you're not gonna get anywhere in your life if you stay where you are. Make a change. Do shit that's different. That's the only way. There's no other excuse.
Hallelujah, brother. Amen.
Yeah.
That was some great motivation speaker right there. I hope you guys are encouraged by Simeon's words and has lit a fire within you.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys took a lot of what we said in, because we dropped some major gems here.
Yeah, I'm very happy to share a lot of stuff today as well. So I hope you guys already say that anyway, I hope this podcast also help you to grow. I have this quote in front of my desk.
Oh my god,
that
all this quoting going on.
No, man, how many quotes do you have?
No, this is the end. That's it. My quote is in front of the desk, on my table. It's evolve or die. I know it's so extreme, but it helps me to grow every day.
All right. Yeah, if that's not how you end the podcast, I don't know what else.
I swear we mentioned about earlier how we shouldn't go going from one extreme to another.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's evolve or die, guys.
Well, it's not it's
damn.
not literally,
All right. Well, thank you guys for this podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also don't forget to follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, guys. All links will be in the description below, and be sure to check us out. And yeah, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Catch you later. See ya.